My name is Jody Litvak, and I'm Community Relations Manager at Metro, otherwise known as the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or MTA. I will probably say Metro or MTA for shorthand as we go on.
Where exactly are the rail lines being expanded, and how many more miles of rail are being added?
Oh man, I didn't study. This isn't 100% accurate, but I'm sort of fond of saying that we have about 100 miles of rail, and we're going to approximately double that as a result of the Measure R program. If you go look at the fine print, those are not accurate numbers, but it just kind of gives you a good order of magnitude. The plans from Measure R have us extending the rail, the exposition line, from downtown down towards USC and out along the old exposition right-of-way to Santa Monica, the heavy rail subway to Westwood VA, the Crenshaw line, which will go from the exposition line Crenshaw down south and connect in via the Green Line and get us towards the airport. There's South Bay, a further South Bay extension of the Green Line. There's, I'm sorry, I have to sort of think of the map as I go around. There's East Side Phase 2 extension of the Gold Line. There's also the Foothill extension of the Gold Line. Then there's, we don't know yet if it's going to be rail, although many people have talked about it being rail, something through the Sepulveda Pass. I'm sure there's something I'm leaving out, but that's a lot.
So you already told us your position, but how exactly do you impact the expansion of rail lines?
For all of these rail lines, before they happen, they have to go through a very prescribed approval process. At the state level, you have to prepare what's known as an EIR, Environmental Impact Report. It's predicated by the California Environmental Quality Act. If the projects need any kind of federal approval, there's a federal partner that goes with that. And that requires, that has all kinds of requirements having to do with the technical analysis and looking at the impacts and identifying what those impacts are, and if there are negative impacts, come in with mitigations. However, you can do the best technical analysis possible, and if you haven't brought the public along, your project isn't going to go anywhere. It will die. As some of these projects sometimes have. The subway, which has been talked about in Greater Los Angeles for more than 50 years, has died many times over for lack of public support. So the way I get involved in these projects, it's a long way around these projects, is I will manage that public outreach process with sort of two complementary goals in mind, for lack of a better term. One is I obviously have to make sure that we meet the legal requirements both at the federal and state level for what we are required to do. However, I also want to make sure that we communicate well to the public, they understand what we're doing. I will listen to the public. I'm often the eyes and ears to not only take our message out to the public, but translate what the public is saying back into the agency and explain it to the various technical staff that are working on it. People tend to be very comfortable using the language of kind of their own disciplines, which is not always the way the public hears it, and to bring the public along as the project evolves wherever it goes. So that's sort of my involvement.
Have any residents commented on the expansion, either in negative or positive ways, and what have they said?
About any project in particular, or any of the projects?
Any of the projects in this expansion in particular. I know about I know the Hollywood, under Hollywood High, or the Beverly Hills High School.
Yes,
There's a lot of
We've been a little involved in that one. Here's what I'll say generally, and I think this is something I've observed in the time I've been doing this, that approximately 100 miles or whatever we have of rail, we've only had it for a little over 2 decades. We opened up the Blue Line to Long Beach, which was when LA first got back into passenger rail in summer 91. Okay, so it's just been a little over 2 years, 2 decades since we've had that in. Prior to that, and in still some of the early days of us building, the first few parts of what's now that 100 miles of rail, there was some debate within the public and among the politicians about, did that even make sense in Southern California, Greater LA, to have that? You don't have that anymore. People get it that we've paved everything we can pave, pretty much. You can keep expanding roads and freeways to the extent you have room to do that, but eventually they get congested anyway. And so you need to find ways to move more people with less space. So that means buses or rail. So people are generally accepting of the concept, and they're even accepting of the lines, but everybody has an opinion about the details now. So that general acceptance of the line, that is a sea change from 20, 30 years ago, absolutely. But everybody has an opinion about the details, exactly where the line should go, where the stop should be, whether it should be heavy rail, which is the third rail, light rail, which is the overhead catenary, different technologies, different carrying capacity. Monorail keeps coming up as an idea, so people have opinions about that. And then all of these projects, they absolutely have impacts. And people want to close, but not that close. All of that stuff goes on. And then there's the impact of the project itself once it's up and operating. But there's living through the construction of it, and construction is absolutely messy, and we try and control that and keep it under control, but at the end of the day, it's, there's construction, and you got to get through it. And people, once the system is up and operating, those memories fade, but in the midst of it, not so much.
So how has Metro helped inform people to reduce their concerns about noise concerns and?
Okay, first of all, let me start off. We will never make 100% of the people happy. Not that we don't try, and not that that wouldn't be lovely, but I've never seen it happen yet, and I don't expect it to. We just kind of have to let people know. And one of the best things we have going for us now, honestly, is now that we have this system, we can take people out, and so it's not theoretical. So for instance, on the second phase, we just opened the first phase of the exposition line the week before last. Yeah, the week before last. And phase 2, there's been a lot of interest in the area known as Cheviot Hills, where it'll be going right behind people's backyard. Out now to similar areas where the Gold Line or the Green Line is elevated, so not so much, but where, say, the Gold Line is operating, and people can stand there and see what it's like and see what's going on. This issue in Beverly Hills about going under the high school, we can take them to other areas where the rail is at similar depths or more shallow depths, and people can, stand there and feel and see whether or not they actually experience the rail. So that's really the best way to do that. And and you can write lots of reports, and you can put information out, and you can say what the studies have found. So there's lots of ways to do it.
So how many people are predicted to use the train after all these expansions are completed?
I don't have that number for all, and I don't know that I have it for what the whole measure our ridership would be, because we haven't completed the environmental studies for all of the projects. So I'm sorry, I can't give you that answer.
Okay, thanks.
It's a good question.
What is the predicted revenue that the trains would bring in, if there is any revenue?
Well, we do charge fares, but you have to understand, public transit is always subsidized in this country. So when you pay your bus fare or you pay your rail fare, which are the same, there's still tax dollars going to subsidize it. So whatever the ridership is, whatever the new ridership will be times whatever the average fare is, that's what the revenue will be, but it's still subsidized.
Huh.
Just is.
And then, how many jobs would the expansion create?
That number, there have been predictions out there, and I don't have that number at my fingertips either. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can look for that and get it to you guys. I apologize. But you have to understand, there's two kinds of. Are you guys doing this for like an AP government class or something?
Yeah.
It's a political behavior class.
Okay. Gov and Econ?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay, good. So I just have to understand how I answer the question. So there's the actual construction jobs themselves, and then there's the the multiplier effect. The other thing that has been shown time and time again, especially with rail, is that over a period of time it creates economic opportunity around the stations, which is sort of the long-lived thing.
All right, so how will this expansion affect the environment, like in an environmental sense? I'm thinking pretty generally here.
Yeah, I understand. Are we going to get to the day, I hope, when we've got a clean form of automobile transportation? Absolutely. That's not happening tomorrow. So like I said, if you focus on moving more people more efficiently, more effectively, which leads you to transit solutions, that is cleaner. If you go to rail, which is electrified, that is cleaner yet. What that does to offset other kinds of things, global warming, et cetera, how much of a drop in the bucket does that make? I don't know. But it is better. It is also better because a lot of studies have shown also that you use less of the land, and as that become, as we are now a dense built out urban environment, it creates many people would argue a more sustainable pattern of land use, apart from the actual pollution of moving people and goods from place to place.
Okay. How will traffic reduction, or how much traffic reduction is predicted after the completion of the rails?
That is a false question, and I'll tell you why. If you want to look around, let's just say the United States, at parts of the United States where you've had a lot of congestion relief, you look to cities like Detroit, where the economy has been decimated. Okay? I don't think any of us want that here. What transit provides is it provides an alternative for traveling in your car. Our population is going to grow here. With any luck and some good planning, the economy will continue to grow. Where you see congestion, by and large, it's kind of an evil byproduct of a healthy economy, because people are going to work and they're going shopping and goods are moving, and that's what happens. So, and if you look at any of the other cities around the world where people think, oh, they've got really good transit, like think about Manhattan. Yeah, and they've got lots of congestion. So, transit provides a viable alternative. It may have some congestion relief, perhaps for a short period of time, but as population continues to grow and the economy continues to grow, that'll get filled up again. So.
Okay.
How much money will all the expansions cost in total?
Measure R, which was passed by the voters 4 years ago now, almost, was projected to have $40 billion, generate $40 billion, of which I want to say 25 was set to go to new projects, both rail and highway, and then for some of them there was a federal match that was assumed, so this just gives you a rough order of magnitude. So it's a lot of money. Still not enough, but it's a lot of money.
Right, and then how is revenue planned to be produced to offset the expense? Like increase in city
I
tax?
told you fares never cover the operating expenses. And there's the capital costs and the operations and maintenance costs. On the capital side, we're actually very lucky here in LA County because Measure R was the third half-cent sales tax that the voters in LA passed for transportation. So every time you buy something taxable in LA County, a penny and a half of that sales tax goes to transportation, and it goes by different formulas. So that's what's projected to fund this. And then again, there's some, like I said, we're looking for some matching funds from the federal government and stuff like that. But it's a lot of it's local and a lot of it's through sales tax. That has already been approved.
Okay, I think that's the last of our
Yeah.
questions.
Okay, wait, I got to say something. I
Okay.
said this to everybody. The reason transportation is important and mobility is important, and I alluded to this a little bit before, is this is what creates people's ability to participate in the economy. That's why we care. So, you know, I know everyone says, oh, I want to get someplace fast. Well, the reason you have something to do and participate in the economy and go to school and go to appointments and go shopping. And we haven't even talked about all the goods coming in through those ports and we're waiting to the south there. But that's important too. Okay.
Okay.
What's your name?
Hello, my name is Jonathan.
And what do you do?
I work here at Northrop in Redondo Beach. We're in Redondo Beach City. I work over there at Northrop.
Thank you. So what do you know about Measure R? Do you even know what it is?
Measure R that law or bill that was passed to increase more metro lines or make more metro buses. Is that?
Yeah, it is to expand the metro rail lines and help with road repair and other things. It was a tax pass. So, do you use the metro often?
Yeah, I use the metro, I'd say 4 to 5 times a day. I use it multiple times during the day. Go to work, go home, go somewhere.
Okay, and what do you think about the expansion of the rail? It's a good idea? Do you think it'll help out?
I think it's a great idea because, well, it'll help a lot of people. You know, there are some places where people need to walk a lot. I've walked those pretty far places that don't have any metro line or train or bus, and I think it'll help a lot actually. And well, I'm pretty sure the city makes profit from this, so I'm pretty sure if they increase the amount of rail and bus transportation, then I'm pretty sure they'll make a huge chunk.
Okay, thanks. It's 2 minutes. Okay, so what's your name
My name is Marty Hudson.
and your position?
I'm Chief Engineer at AMA.
Okay, so how do you directly affect
Can you
the...
pause? Can I redo that? I should say Dr. Martin Hudson. That is my
Well, I don't need to pause, just...
Okay.
Okay, what's your name?
Dr. Engineer at AMA.
Okay, so what do you do to personally that affects the metro expansion, the Measure R expansions that are currently happening?
Currently, on 2 of the metro projects, I'm serving as project manager on the geotechnical and environmental investigations. So for the West Side subway extension and the regional connector subway, I'm serving as the project manager to evaluate the soil conditions and environmental conditions in the ground and for designing of the tunnels and stations.
Okay, and what are your viewpoints on the expansion? Do you like the expansions that are happening? Do you want to see more? Do you want to not have as many expansions as they're putting in? What are your opinions?
Advocate for increasing transportation in the Los Angeles area. There's a lot of congestion and it impacts the movement of people and the movement of goods. So we need to continue expanding all of our networks, both roadway, freeway, rail, transit, rail goods movement, provide for truck goods movement, and all of those combined help the economy so that the society is more productive. In particular, the current round of expansions will help in some of the more congested areas, and it will build out the network, make it much more convenient for people who already use it.
And what are your personal experiences with the Metro?
Since I was young, I took Metro a lot, starting in junior high. That's how I got to school every day. And then in college, I would take the bus from Hollywood to UCLA. And then the first few years when I worked, I was able to get from my house in El Segundo to work in Commerce using trains and buses, so that we didn't even have to own a second car.
Okay, thank you.
I believe the Metro needs to be expanded because transportation allows people to participate in the economy. People have jobs, people have places to go. One way they can do that? Through public transportation. And the Metro is an example of that. The Metro provides transportation to people in an efficient manner that's environmentally friendly, and thanks to government subsidies, it's very reasonable for somebody looking for transportation. So, all in all, I think that the Metro expansion is definitely a very good thing for the city of Los Angeles, and something that the voters need to approve.
I think the Metro expansions are a necessary part of the LA district because they greatly expand the economy, it greatly expands tourism, it attracts lots of tourists because they know there's an easy way to get around, and it greatly helps the environment. So far the environment has cleaned up a lot since the 1970s, but it could still do even better by switching a lot over to trains that are run on electric power instead of gas guzzling cars like the ones we have today. So I think switching over to larger metro networks is a better idea for Los Angeles as a whole, economically and environmentally.
Alright, so the expansion of Metro, I think is a fundamentally good thing because like other people have said, it allows more people to participate in the economy. You know, people have places to be, so it gives people a very easy form of transit from place to place to go to their job or go help and like do their part in society. And then another big part of it for me is out of their cars, and you know that's obviously good for the environment, and it helps to have like the mass of people that Los Angeles is known for. You know, that many more of them are going to be on the Metro now when they double the amount of traffic they're supposed to have. So I think of the Metro project, Measure R, is definitely a good move on Los Angeles' part. I'm very excited to see it ride the new rails.
When you're moving slow, somebody knows that it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright. When you wake up early in the morning, you better say hold the phone, life